Insano shows no mercy, no mercy, no mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Straight cash, homie.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day for your ass, boy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Day Football Show. I'm Ivan Vargas. Got my boy Marco Velasquez with me. Marco, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, Ivan, man? Great day for football. Week 3. This should be a good one.
Yeah, I know. We got three, honestly, all three of our games. And I know Luke's not with us. Luke is probably in his Mike Allstott jersey. He's got beer cans probably later. He went Steve Austin yesterday. Luke went a little hard, but he'll join us around halftime of the first games. But yeah, man, our three games, your game against the Colts, the Titans game against the Colts, the Bears and the Browns, and Luke's game, the Bucks and the Rams, those are like, and I hate to do it because I try to get us to have different games of the week, but those are the games of the week in my eyes.
Like, absolutely.
They have to be the games of the week in my eyes. And, before we get into some storylines, it was good to see. It was good to see Justin Fields last week coming, getting his feet wet a little bit, being able to do some things. It scared me at the end, but I felt like he did all right. I think he's going to do all right today. The Titans last week, honestly, what a comeback.
Yeah.
Right? What a comeback against Seattle. I thought they were dead in the water. I was like, wow, 0-2 is like Marco's not going to like this. Like Marco's not going to be happy about an 0-2 Titans team. And, they put – and why wouldn't you? They put everything. They put their faith on the back of Derrick Henry, and he just took them and went right to the end zone. And honestly, Luke beat me in fantasy last week because Derrick Henry had like 49 points or something like that. He kicked my ass. But talk about that game real quick, because Seattle is people are looking at Seattle like, man, they're going to be a contender.
Yes,
a playoff contender at the very least. A Super Bowl contender at best. And obviously with Russell Wilson, I mean, they look pretty good, but give the Titans credit, man. They fought back.
Absolutely. And we discussed it actually at halftime, last week, where I think the key to victory for Tennessee was, give the ball to Derrick Henry. Or Derrick Henry's going to have to wake up in the second half. And sure enough, it's almost like somebody was spying on us in the room because they fed Derrick Henry the ball, went, just had a monstrous second half, and ultimately dictated that ball game. Went to overtime, kicked the game-winning field goal, with our temporary kicker. But that was just a Derrick Henry game, second half right there. And what a way to prove yourself, as far as waking up your run game. Definitely an important victory.
Yeah, and it was weird because I was like, man, Seattle's defense looks like they're all right. It's like, what is what is wrong with the offense of Tennessee? It just seemed like they were just kept sputtering. Obviously, Derrick Henry is a guy. Obviously, Derrick Henry is the answer. Ryan Tannehill works best off of that play action where you're able to roll him out a little bit.
Yeah.
I know he can stay in the pocket, but I feel like, a heavy dose of Derrick Henry is probably the best way to get things wrong for Tennessee, especially against a Colts team today. But I want to go ahead and get into some other storylines because there is some news around the league. Baltimore is not having a good start to this season. They had 8 players out total. 4 players just tested positive for COVID-19 and will not play today. So, like I said, 8 Ravens out total. This puts more pressure on Lamar. I did not pick this Ravens team to make the playoffs, but I feel like the injuries are starting to surmount. Now you got COVID issues. You've had COVID issues throughout the league. And honestly, I thought with these teams being at a higher percentage than, let's say, 60%, majority of the teams got to be above 70%.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Yeah.
But let's say I want to assume all the teams are above 70% at the very least. You're talking about a team that could possibly be all infected. I mean, they all could be infected.
Yes.
Because we understand that the shot is policy, but it just seems like these rare occurrences are not so rare, especially in the NFL. You're right next to each other. It's like you're a rare occurrence is like, I feel like you're spread, like you're spread out, like all of a sudden I'm vaccinated, I feel good, I'm walking from here to there, and oops, I got COVID because I went somewhere different,
right,
a foreign area. These guys are all on top of each other. I would imagine, even if somebody had caught it, that you had to test everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to test everybody. And if they're not testing everybody, I feel like what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At a certain point, you're gonna lose players, you're gonna lose games, you're gonna lose fans.
Yes.
And I feel like you got to find a better policy than just that, or a better way to have your football team run, because it's not gonna happen. Like, I just feel like there's gonna be more guys contracting COVID. There's gonna be more games like this where players are out.
Yeah, I mean, and I think as a fan, I mean, I understand it's the athletes out there taking the field. As a fan, the last thing you want is to go see your team, and the team reserves are the ones who are taking the field, as opposed to the starters that you want to go see perform for your football team. But I think with the situation in Baltimore right now, I think it's a situation that it'd be foolish not to have seen this, as far as what's happening with teams. Unfortunately for the Ravens, though, the injury bug is also hitting them. The COVID bug is hitting them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, coming off an impressive victory over, Kansas City, it's Baltimore has to feel good, but at the same time, it almost seems like they keep hitting a speed bump just when they thought that they cleared it. And it's, I guess, it's just part of the season. We'll see how they bounce, going forward.
Yeah. And then another news, I mean, and also talking about, like, suspensions and reinstatement, it's weird that we talk about, the COVID policies, and we're going to talk about some more policies with the NFL, but NFL reinstates wide receiver Josh Gordon, and he could be eligible to play around week 4. It's like, like, what do we do? Like, the NFL policy is just kind of like, they don't make someone like, so you got one policy where it's like, you could play even if you don't follow it, right? Right. Like with COVID, right?
Right.
You could still play, but you're gonna have to follow all these policies. And then in this policy, you can't play period because of this plan. You know what I mean? Like it's. I just feel like there's a contradiction happening there. It's like, what are we doing? Like if you don't follow the rules, you still can play here. If you don't follow the rules, you can't play in this situation. I feel like it's just stupidity or contradiction from the NFL. Josh Gordon's going to get suspended again. look, Josh Gordon's going to get suspended again. Yeah, he's going to smoke weed again, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's been, you know what got Josh Gordon suspended the third time, the second time?
The first time,
marijuana. Like that's like he's gonna smoke some weed again, dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, good for Josh Gordon coming back. I hope he stays in the league this time. But I feel like they need to take a long look at these policies at the end, especially like I said, especially the COVID policy, because they kind of just threw that on the players and the Players Association. But the Players Association kind of just tucked tail and said, "All right, we'll accept." You know what I'm saying? But I feel like NFL policy needs to be worked out, man.
And the thing is, like, I mean, there's no way Roger Goodell isn't hearing the fans, or even team personnel, team team players. He hears it every time he takes the podium somewhere. It's like you hear the boos in the crowd. I'm pretty sure that fans at this point are just sick and tired of these contradicting rules that almost seem to play, or not
they're
almost,
contradicting, they're constricting,
yeah.
they're they just confining. Like it just seems like at a certain point you're just yelling at the sky.
Yeah.
Old man shaking his fist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
Yes.
Going ahead and moving on. Dolphins, man, and like I said, there's been a couple of big injuries for certain teams. None bigger than Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins as of right now. I know they're in fantasy talks about trading for Deshaun Watson, but that's yet to be seen.
Yeah.
You heard the comments from their head coach, Brian Flores. He wants high character guys. Tua, they said his return could be week 6, but he will be on the IR with ribs. How do you feel Miami fares? I think Miami gets blown out by a Las Vegas Raiders team that seems to be hot today, and especially without their starting quarterback.
Absolutely. And I mean, the Raiders have just been playing good football, week after week. I mean, going into the third week, I think they had a very, up to the moment game of the year so far, that week 1 win over Baltimore. And this Raiders team is hot right now. And honestly, that defense, they're getting to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why they shouldn't just maul the Miami Dolphins today. There's no, with Tua being out now, it's a young mobile quarterback.
They got a Jacoby Brissett going in as the backup for Tua today. And Jacoby started for the Colts. I mean, I think Jacoby's probably the best backup in the league because he has starter potential, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He has starter. You have to put a lot around him for him to be successful, but Jacoby has starter potential. He's not Tyrod Taylor. He's like Tyrod Taylor light, because I think Tyrod should be a starter in this league. But Jacoby didn't fare too well against in Indianapolis. You got a Dolphins team that's not playing that good. The defense is playing pretty decent, but the offense has been sputtering. And now you're starting quarterbacks out who people have been questioning as is. I feel like the Dolphins on offense have a lot of problems. I agree. I think the Raiders blow them out today. I think Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr has a decent game because, like I said, Miami's defense is pretty good. But if they can't get nothing going, I can see later on in that game that Raiders offense really opening up, because that defense of the Miami Dolphins is going to be really exhausted, trying to run and catch everybody all game just so they could keep it close.
Yeah, I mean, with Jacoby Brissett, limited mobility. I think Tua's mobility would have been a very crucial factor as far as facing a Raiders defense that is just getting to the quarterback. With a limited quarterback like Jacoby, I see that defense getting to the quarterback really fast, and just with no other sort of options as far as getting out.
Yeah, and it's just. You look at Tua and you question his health, right? Because he came in the league with the hip thing. Now you're starting to question his arm because he doesn't have as big of an arm as everybody, for some reason, everybody thought. His accuracy is there. His comparisons were to Drew Brees, right? Yes. Shorter, accurate, could get the ball, can't throw the huge deep ball, not a huge arm, but he could get the ball there, and he's smart. He can't stay on the field. Like, if he can't stay on the field, then we have a bigger problem. Yes. I feel like Tua's issue is that. I feel like he's not going to be able to stay on the field enough for the Miami Dolphins to feel comfortable with him being the number one in the future of the franchise. I look forward to them trying. I know I said it's a fantasy, rumor. If they do go after a Deshaun Watson, right? If for some reason the front offices of the Miami Dolphins push Brian Flores and say, we're going to go do this. This is going to be your quarterback. I mean, maybe things are different. I just feel like there's more that needs to be put together on that Dolphins team, especially on offense, than just the quarterback. And I feel like Tua, if you could keep Tua healthy, fine. But if you're going to trade Tua to the Houston Texans, I think Tua's career might take a turn for the worse.
Yes,
in that case, because they're just not built. They didn't. Davis Mills didn't look bad, but you saw how many hits he took.
Yes. Can
you imagine Tua taking those shots? He'd be done.
Yeah.
At halftime, he'd be broken in two.
Yeah.
So I would, if I'm Tua Tagovailoa, man, get healthy, stay healthy.
Yes.
As much as you can. Like, go down, brother. Go down, throw the ball away, do whatever you have to do to not take a shot, because it just seems like, you constantly catch the bad end of the stick.
Yes.
When it comes to injuries. Still staying with that game, the Raiders' Max Crosby denies spitting on Steelers guard Trey Turner last week, and he'll appeal his fine. I think the fine was like $9,000 or something. But he denies it, and we talked about this yesterday on the Smoke Fellas, and it was, at the bottom of the pile, what anything goes. Like, shit happens, man. I mean, you'll get a finger up the butt, you'll get your finger bit off, you'll get an eye gouge, you'll get you'll get punched in the ribs. You know, somebody will grab your neck. Like at the bottom of the pile, shit goes down. And do I believe that could never happen? No. Do I believe Max Crosby spit on Trey Turner? I can't say that, man. I'm not at the bottom. I wasn't at the bottom of the pile. You know, I'm sure they're going to review it. I'm sure they're going to look at it. You got to show the video. And like if a motherfucker spit on me, like we talked about this yesterday, somebody's spitting on you during a game, we're gonna I'm sorry. Like I think my discipline would be out of it because that's just like the most foul thing to do.
Yeah,
it's just
helmet's coming off, you know,
and just and not even keep your helmet on because you don't want to get punched in the face. But you know, what I mean, like just keep your helmet on. But there's gonna be some business given. There's gonna be, you know, I'm gonna try to slam you on there's gonna be something going after that, and you know. He did get fined for some Trey Turner. I forgot. Trey Turner got fined for. I think it said extracurriculars after the whistle. When he was ejected, because he got ejected.
Ben Roethlisberger's at home, and you made life as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah, he got ejected, so he got fined about $15,000. But spitting, man, I could understand why he lost it. I can understand that. Like if Max Crosby went and spit, you got to find him and suspend him. I don't think, especially if you're talking about COVID policies. You know what I mean? We're talking about, We're just talking about like, I think you got to suspend them, and it sucks because I'm like, you know, you get suspended because of another policy. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, but honestly, it's just gross. You shouldn't do that. It's very disrespectful, not sportsmanlike at all. I don't know if he did. I'm not saying he did. Show me the tape. Show me the tape, and I'll judge for myself. But you know.
I mean, it's not a good way to prove that you're a graduate of Bill Romanowski's university, spitting on another player in that manner. I mean, we live in an age of technology, man. Like, I mean, these players need to realize that there's cameras all over the place. If the league finds that he did spit, I encourage a suspension at least because, like, I mean, in this time we're living in, let's just say that we definitely don't need to be setting a bad example. Say, hey. This guy spit on somebody, you didn't suspend them, but yet I'm over here testing positive to punish me. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, if Trey Turner tests positive for COVID and has to sit out, you know what I mean, and get like, I don't know if they're paying him half or whatever.
Right.
Like you got to do something. You know what I'm saying? And it's similar to last year, Myles Garrett. When Myles Garrett went off, right? When Myles Garrett went off on Mason Rudolph, he came out later and I'm upset that he can't, even though it may or may not be true. Like I said, whatever goes down, you don't hear it. Whatever goes down, it may or may not happen. If the guy's saying it's true, it could be true. But I'm only suspicious because Myles Garrett came out after the fact.
Yeah.
Right? He came out after the fact. Oh, yeah, he called me a racial slur. Why didn't you call right there and then? You should have been in that ref's face. Like, he's calling me, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't you bark at the ref and tell him that?
Yeah.
I just see there being more mics on the field. I could see there being more mics on the field so they could pick that shit up, especially if they're going with this soft kind of no taunting. And some of the taunts are disrespectful, don't get me wrong. You could, I mean, up in a guy's face, up on a guy, over a guy when he's down, I could see that definitely getting flagged. But if you're like 20 yards away and you're doing something, you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm like, all right, that's kind of ticky tack. Like, is he really up in his face taunting him? The guy's about to score a touchdown, or the guy went ahead and had a sack and did some kind of celebration. Right. Like, are we? You know, they could run. The guys could go ahead and run the length of the field, get in front of a camera, and do all types of sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But we're gonna fine them for something that's done maybe 5-10 yards away. That's where I draw the line. It's like, all right, come on. In the face, standing over a dude, okay. You're going to go ahead and celebrate with a dance like 5-10, or something. Depending on what moves you do or something like that, I don't see the purpose of the constant flags for taunting. It just
it doesn't work out for me just because, like, I mean, I understand that there's, a line you don't cross with when it comes to, like, a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there's just some things you don't do. But at the end of the day, I'm just a firm believer in the whole, the best way to get back at a guy who was taunting you is throw a W in his face.
Yeah.
Get that win. Get that, whatever it may be.
Get the win, walk up, and then at the handshake, just, Just look at him. I mean, don't go. You can get into a fight in the middle. Don't do it. Don't just give him the nod. Like, give him the nod. Just, whenever I got into it, like, and I don't usually go back to my playing days, but whenever it was like you got into it with somebody on the field, in my mind, it was just like, all right, like I don't have to hit you. I'm gonna hit you. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna hit your ass, but I don't have to do anything extra. I'm gonna dog your ass out on the field, and then when I score, I'm gonna make sure you know I score.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make sure you know I score. I'm gonna make sure you know what just happened to you, or if I come across you, if got the ball and you're in my sight, I'm gonna make sure you're punished for that.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying. I like making players, making people who taunt you as a player pay with your play.
Yeah,
especially if you're good. If you're good enough to do it, I mean, all these guys are professionals, and I know it's like you're not gonna have just I mean, Adrian Peterson was pretty dominant for a while. There are some dominant seasons. But you have ways of making guys pay out there on the field. That's legal.
Yeah,
that is completely legal. You can make a guy pay for some dumb shit. So I mean, like I said, finding if they're up in the face, they're giving somebody the business. Cool, but other than that, it's like, what are we doing here? It's like I thought we were supposed to be. Like I said, the guys are running the length of the field to go get in front of a camera and do some goofy shit. And we're flagged. It doesn't matter. Why isn't there a flag there?
Yeah, like
that's okay there, but it's not okay here.
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter. Like
they even set up a turnover screen.
Yes, they said a turnover screen and shit. That, like they got a whole bunch of chains and shit that motherfuckers are wearing. So, you know what I mean? They got all types of stuff. So let's just dial it back on the taunting just a little bit, if not for the speed of the game. You know what I mean? Like, and let's go back to your game a little, just real quick. The Colts are going to start Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz hasn't been getting a warm welcome, I guess, nationally since he left Philadelphia. He hasn't been talked about highly, right? Yeah. Still questioning him and who he is as a quarterback. Still questioning him, just like Tua, if he can stay healthy and stay on the football field. He's dealing with that ankle. How do you feel he does against and I know you got to be unbiased here. Right. How do you feel Carson Wentz does today? Because I don't see him as a bad player. I feel like there's just something off. Like it's just, Carson, you're not doing this today. Or Carson, where's your focus at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just feel like there's just something off with Carson Wentz that, when he is on, like when you give him the blocking, when you give him something, he feels comfortable, he's good. But you make him a little uncomfortable outside of the football field, I feel like, in social media with reporters talking with all the questions, I feel like he kind of shows up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I feel like he shows up a little.
Yeah, and the thing is with Indianapolis, like I mean, they were a team who was favored to compete in the AFC South before the season even started. The acquisition of Carson Wentz, obviously coming from Philadelphia. When Carson Wentz, when he can play, when he's healthy, when you're able to provide blocking for him, he could be a very lethal quarterback, solid. But it's just, even though, a player is not in control of their injuries, nobody can stop that. It's a part of the game. Injuries start mounting up. Mm-hmm. I feel like he left Philadelphia like on a bit of a sour note. I mean, he started demanding a trade after you kind of get the idea Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy here. You have to, resort to backup.
The best ability is availability.
Yeah, and that's, I think Carson Wentz rubbed off a lot of fans, a lot of people the wrong way. Like, oh, you don't want to support, you're the guy who's probably going to get the job. Now you want to leave? Okay. Everybody made a fuss about, his connection with Frank Reich, going back to his offensive coordinator, from the Philadelphia days. Or, and
they had a great relationship. Like people, his relationship with Frank Reich, he was an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Before he went down.
Yeah.
Before he went down, that Carson Wentz was a bone. I think he was leading. The leading MVP candidate. You look at a guy and going back to something that you hope it pays off on.
And I mean, and ultimately, right now, Carson Wentz, it's, whether he has to answer a billion questions from the media, whether he has to answer to, unsatisfied fans, injuries are what's going to play a role in Carson Wentz's future as far as him as a quarterback. His time during Indianapolis right now, it's off to a rocky start. You hear about, his foot problems now. Injuries are going to dictate his career. If he can't stay on the field, you're going to have to settle for what you got.
Yeah,
and that's just what Carson Wentz is in a nutshell right now.
And the backup is Brett Hundley. believe he was with the Packers, and I don't know if he was with them last year. But, if he can't go or if he ends up getting hurt during this game, it will be Hundley. I don't know if the Colts can manage, man. I like they've been have a sputtering run game.
I believe he took most of the reps in practice this week.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean,
so they're going to start Wentz, but he's ready to go if
mm-hmm.
need be. I'm sure the game plan is kind of a mix. But the running game needs to get going for Indianapolis. The offensive line has been very, talk about guys like Quentin Nelson. We saw how well they played last year and the year before that even. But this year, just within, through 2 games, it just seems like the Colts offense is trying to find their rhythm, trying to gel together, trying to get on the same page. And it's going to be a big matchup today. Tennessee is on a high and deservedly so, because after that first week loss, where we were just kind of like sitting here like, damn, like that just happened.
Yes.
They bounce back and they don't go out. They don't go out like some punks last week, and they fight back and they get a win. I feel like you have to get that running game going just to get some body blows in against this Tennessee team, because I feel like they're riding high right now, and that momentum could carry that defense.
And in all honesty, I mean, I tell any in the AFC South, if you want to win, you go through Indianapolis. That's just a reality. A divisional matchup like today, I understand the Colts are going through, they're going through some question marks right now, but Indianapolis is who you need to beat to even get recognition in the AFC South. So big test for Tennessee today, regardless of who they're playing.
Definitely. And some a side note, and this is kind of like this little. This is our TMZ point of the storylines. Aaron Rodgers, and we kind of all knew this, but Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers will be taking on the San Francisco 49ers tonight on Sunday Night Football. And, it's come out finally. He's pretty much made it known. The Niners were the top choice. We already knew the Niners were the top choice. We've seen the childhood photos of Aaron in a Niners uniform, in a helmet. We've seen that. We already knew the Niners were going to be the top choice. But looking at the future, and you got a guy like Trey Lance, waiting in the wings, do you, if you're the Niners, and this is truly the last dance for the Packers, you make a run at Aaron Rodgers next year if he's gone?
I honestly, I don't see that in the 49ers' best interest to go after Aaron Rodgers. That's not taking anything away from Aaron. Obviously he is who he is. He's a bad man at the end of the day, and we all respect that. But they drafted Trey Lance for a reason. He showed a flash, brilliance in the in preseason. We see what he can do, but at the helm right now, you got Jimmy G. Who can still play. Trey Lance was brought in for a job, and honestly, I I don't see a benefit for San Francisco to go after, Aaron Rodgers as far as I'm respecting who Aaron Rodgers is. With Trey Lance, you guys rolled the dice on him. You guys wanted this man. Let him do what he's meant to do for the team. So
so in year 2, Trey Lance gets the job. Aaron didn't get the job till year 4, and I understand that he has he had a Hall of Fame quarterback in Brett Favre ahead of him. But if you're talking about winning now, the Niners would be the number 1 team in the league if Aaron Rodgers. So I feel like, there is a benefit, to it. Although the confidence of Trey Lance might take a shot. The benefit is he gets to watch Aaron Rodgers perform for another year or 2, right? Because I think if Aaron Rodgers does leave and he wants to continue football, I think he's on 2-year contracts, 1 to 2 year contracts, and he has an option. I don't think, he's gonna because he's got money. He wants a Super Bowl.
Yes.
He wants to win another title, and I feel like the money's great, but to him, especially seeing it how everything's played out, I believe him. I don't think it's everything to him. So I could see him even taking some type of a pay cut to go to a team that's ready to win.
Yeah, and when you really look at the big picture, that does make sense for the 49ers. I guess I'm looking at it long term as far as what you bring to the table.
Yeah, what he brings to the table. Yeah, in the short term, we're talking about a solid defense with a good offense. They got a plethora of running backs when they're healthy that are good, that are solid. It reminds me of New England a little bit. Like I talked, you can just kind of put in running backs by committee, and they all do their job really well. You could do that now because it's you don't have that youth on your side. Time is creeping up. It's also creeping up on Aaron Rodgers, and you want to get a guy his talent and playability, just you want to give him that shot with a team that's ready to go, the team that's humming. Because now you give your rookie quarterback, your franchise, a taste of what playoff football is, a taste of what winning is. Watch one of the NFL all-time greats do it in a playoff situation, potential Super Bowl. You get to that point with your young quarterback, and now he wants that. Now he's had a taste. Now he wants it. I feel like that. I think that is the ultimate benefit. You get a guy like Aaron Rodgers. If they could, I truly feel if they get Aaron Rodgers this year, I think it's the Niners are probably the number one team in my eyes. Well, you do have the Bucs. You do have the Bucs, but I think it'll be we'll say Bucs, Niners 1-2, especially in the NFC.
And the thing with that, I think what would make that a very interesting storyline as far as in the NFL. You're going to, what I believe is the toughest division in football. You're going to the NFC West. You got a stacked Los Angeles Rams team. You got a stacked, Arizona Cardinals team who, I think they're definitely making a name for themselves thus far, since Kyler Murray even took the field, for them. And then you have a Seattle Seahawks team that, as long as Russell Wilson is there, they're going to be a competitive team in that division. Yeah. So you're putting Aaron Rodgers in a situation where you're definitely going to have to scrap in this division because wins aren't going to come easy, especially when it comes to divisional matchups. But putting Aaron Rodgers in that equation, it could be anyone's ball game. Like I said, you're looking at the other three teams in that division. It could be very interesting.
It'd be a dogfight. It'd be a dogfight. It'll definitely be a dogfight. Justin Fields is going to make his NFL debut, and we're actually going to cut it short because we got tacos to make, and I want to make sure that we catch the game. So we're actually going to go for about maybe 5-10 more minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and sign off until halftime. But Justin Fields, man, I saved the best for last, in my opinion. Justin Fields makes his NFL debut today in Cleveland. There's been some talks, and me and Sean had a nice heated conversation about what may happen if Justin Fields, balls out, right? Let's say Justin goes ahead and has himself a solid game against a really good Cleveland Browns defense, and not so. Let's say he's 200 yards, got him a touchdown, doesn't throw a turnover, doesn't throw an interception, doesn't fumble, and maybe runs for 50 to 60 yards. Right. And runs and gets you first downs in big spots, big plays with his legs, right? Like key plays with his legs. How do you, and let's say he does it again. Let's say Andy can't go again. It's a deep, apparently knee bruise, right? Let's say Andy can't go again. Let's say he repeats himself, right? Even with the win or lose, Justin looks good. Let's say he does it again. Let's say we get 3 weeks in and Justin Fields is looking pretty decent. Let's say he had a struggle. Let's say he's thrown for about 400 or 500 yards, has him 3-4 touchdowns, maybe 2 picks. Let's say he's on the positive with the, he's on the plus side of the interceptions to touchdown ratio. How do you put in Andy Dalton?
No, and that's a very good question. That's a very good question as far as if you're a Bears fan. What a test for Justin Fields to enter. Last week you go in and face a Cincinnati Bengals team that still growing. Joe Burrow going out so early. Last year, and it's a Bengals team that's still growing. They still have a lot of to develop as far as that team is concerned. So Justin Fields got some action, but your first true test as a starter, you're going up against a Cleveland Browns team that many are arguing that it's one of the top playoff teams in the NFL this season. They're a lot of people are favoring them to win their division. You're facing a very good defense. What a test for Justin Fields. And then what a boost of confidence it would be if he has a good game today.
Yeah, and I feel like he's, I don't think anything phases Justin. I honestly believe he's going to be the leader of the team. I feel like if he has this string of games, you could see it change. We could watch the future right here in front of our eyes if he has a good game today. And that's how I felt like. I woke up today. I took the baby over to my mom's. Emily had to work, so I had to take her up to Evanston. And as I'm driving back, I had hit you up. And when I'm driving back, to the house from Evanston after dropping Emily off, I put on Chic, good times, right?
Right.
So I'm sitting there, I got my Justin Fields jersey on, driving, the sun's out, sky's a beautiful blue. It's a nice, cool breeze, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm jamming, I'm just good time. And that's what I feel is going to happen. I feel like Justin Fields, regardless, in the face of it, doesn't matter what the challenge is, he's going to step up to it. He's going to be the guy. You hear him in the press conference. You hear him when he speaks. He's the leader. Like he's the leader of the team. He wants to be that, and he understands that he needs to grow. He understands that he has room to grow. He's not, overconfident by any means, but he's not going to go ahead and just back down.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He's not going to go ahead and just, tuck tail and just be like, all right, I'm just going to clam up and everything's going to become faster and I'm just going to get tunnel vision. You saw him take a shot from that Buffalo Bills linebacker in preseason.
Yes.
He got right back up.
Yes. And
led them down the field to get some points. Like I believe Justin Fields today is going to have a solid game. I don't think he's going to have a overwhelming game, but I think in the weeks to come, if he starts again, you're going to see the talent of Justin Fields begin to blossom, and you're going to see the stats start to build. You're going to see the touchdowns. Touchdowns are a must.
Yes.
Period. Touchdowns are a must. And if Justin Fields can start finding the end zone, I don't care how he does it, if he can find the end zone, Bears might have something rolling. I don't think you could go ahead and move an Andy Dalton back to that starter role if you're getting touchdowns from Justin Fields. The name of the game is touchdowns. You start kicking field goals, you start getting into this, all right, we're going to go ahead and just settle. You're going to settle for losses.
Yeah.
You're going to start settling for losses. So touchdowns are better. And if Justin Fields can produce them, how do you take them out? I don't see how you could take them out. All right, and like I said, we're going to get to our games of the week real quick. Marco, go ahead and predict your game. We're going to save Luke's. I know he's his is at 3:25, I believe. So we're going to save Luke's for halftime. Go ahead and give us your game of the week prediction. I know it's your Titans versus Colts. But give us your score prediction.
So for Tennessee and Indianapolis, I definitely see Tennessee's defense playing a role in today's game, and I'm going to predict a 30-17 victory by Tennessee.
How did the defense get after Carson Wentz? I think Carson Wentz comes out.
With a bad ankle, it only takes very little to aggravate something of that nature. It's like you hate seeing it, but anytime you hear an ankle and quarterback, I feel like you're talking about Tommy John and pitchers.
Yeah.
You need mobility, and when a team is hungry and in a divisional matchup of this nature, I think Tennessee's defense is going to be out there trying to get him as far as getting to him, getting him down on the ground, making him uncomfortable, and I definitely see them getting to him today.
Rolling up on him a little bit, even though it's kind of dirty, but part of the game sometimes. For me, Bears Browns, I'm very skeptical about these Bears, and that's mainly because of the head coach. You want to trust your head coach. It's like you bash the guy and you feel like you're wrong. Then you look at the tape, you look at what he's done. And you just look at the body of work, and it's just not there for me. It's not there for me. I can't just go ahead and give you my trust because for one blip in your first year. You know what I mean? With the guy who is running a all-time type of a defense.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I just don't have that. But going into this game, you look at the troubles they have with the receivers. You look at some of the injuries they have. Baker's hurting. He's got had a dislocated shoulder last week. Did come back in the game, but he's obviously ailing. You got a pass rush that's going to be getting after the Browns, and that's done a good job. I feel like they did a decent job against the Rams. Not that great. They did a way better job against the Bengals. I think they'll fare well against the Browns getting after the quarterback. I think it won't be as you won't be hitting Baker Mayfield, I feel like, as much as Joe Burrow. But if you could get to him, you can get Baker Mayfield to be erratic.
Yes.
If you could chase him, you could get him out running around, scrambling, you could get Baker Mayfield to be erratic. And I feel like the defense is going to have to show up in Cleveland for them to really have a shot. Like I said, I feel like Justin's going to have a decent game. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bears. I haven't picked the Bears. I did pick the Bears last week, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Bears, and I'm a little reluctant just because I respect that Cleveland Browns team. I feel like they are going to be a playoff team. But I'm going to go Bears 23, Browns 20.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that this is a factor in any sort of game, but I believe Odell's in the game today for the first time this season.
Odell is in the game,
and the Browns play better without Odell. So we'll see if that plays any sort of it's that myth that that happens with Odell. But I could definitely see a Bears victory. If everything's intact, you make Baker a little uncomfortable. He starts making erratic throws, and I think we saw that last week. I think the Bears have a good shot, getting to Baker. As far if you get to Baker Mayfield, I think you have a shot at victory today.
Yeah, if we could get to Baker, get him on the ground, get him scrambling. Like I said, I think he's going to be a decent quarterback. At the end of his career, I just feel like as of now, he's trying to cement himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And there's you have to be able to do certain things to do it. You can't have certain labels like erratic and be a top quarterback in this league. So it's going to be a long road ahead for Baker, even though his talent is there. And I feel like, I wish him success. I mean, obviously not today, but I wish him success in his career. Just you can't have those key mistakes, man. The interceptions, the fumbles, putting the ball on the ground and giving the ball away. I mean, those cost people jobs, and not only your job, your head coaches, your coordinators. It costs people jobs. So you got to be able to perform in order to get where you want to be. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here for the pregame on the All Day Football Show. Man, I hope it's a good set of games. It's been a good set of games. I told you guys, even the Thursday and Monday night games have been decent. Well, this past one was like, eh. Yeah. It got meh at the end. It got meh at the end. It was real close for a while, and I was like, wow, look at Houston, all right? Check them out. But yeah, it got meh at the end. So, I hope we get a good set of games. I hope all our games, hope we all get a victory here today. Looking forward to tacos.
Yes. Should be good.
Should be good. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys at halftime of the Bears. And we'll be Bears, Browns, Titans, Colts. And I believe we had, where's the other one we had up on there? Oh, Bills and the Washington football team, all at noon. We'll be talking about that one a little bit. I feel like Tyler Heineke might be better than we all think.
Yes.
I really do. All right, guys, we'll see you at the half. Peace.
Captain Insano shows no mercy. No mercy. No mercy. No mercy. No mercy.
Straight cash, homie.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day for your ass, boy.